Namaste, welcome to Arthneeti. Today I want to talk about NAV, Net Asset Value of a Mutual Fund. I thought of making this video after listening to quite a lot of people confusing NAV of a mutual fund similar to the share price of a listed share. Now, in this video, we will see what an NAV is, how it is calculated, is it similar or different to the share price, and is it the sole criteria that people should look at while purchasing mutual funds? So let's start. The first question that we will answer is, what is NAV? Now, as the name suggests, the full form of NAV is net asset value. What this means is the total assets held by a mutual fund scheme minus any liabilities that it has, divided by the number of outstanding units of a mutual fund. Correct? So the assets that the scheme is holding minus any liabilities that it has to pay, divide this by the net outstanding units of that particular scheme, which will give you the net asset value of that scheme. It simply means the value of one unit of a mutual fund. Correct? So this in simple terms is NAV. Now we will see an example. Say, suppose the total assets held by a mutual fund are 1000 crores and the outstanding units in that particular fund are, say, 10 crores. Now there are no liabilities. This is just an example. So for a total asset base of 1000 crores, the number of units that have been issued are, say, 10 crores. So what will be the NAV? Simply divide 1000, which is the total asset, by the number of outstanding units, which is 10 crores. So you will get a net asset value of rupees 100 per share. Correct? So it is as simple as that. Divide assets minus liabilities upon the outstanding units held. Now, NAV, which is the net value of one unit of a mutual fund, is basically calculated at the end of each trading day. Right now, this does not guarantee. If you say purchase a mutual fund with a higher NAV, it does not mean that the mutual fund is performing well. Neither when you purchase a mutual fund with a lower NAV, it does not mean that the mutual fund is underperforming. Correct? So NAV is just a figure which you get by dividing the assets minus liabilities upon the units of that particular scheme. Now say, suppose the total assets, which were 1000, are appreciated by 10%. The value of those assets become 1100. Now the NAV will rise from 100 rupees per unit to 110 rupees per unit. Correct? 1100 divided by 10 crores. 1100 crores divided by 10 crores will give you a NAV of 110 rupees per unit. So that is how NAV is calculated. But as I told you, NAV does not mean that, does not showcase the performance of a fund. Now say, suppose you have rupees 10,000, you invest it in, say, one scheme A, where the NAV is 50 rupees, and you invest another 10,000 in scheme B, where the NAV is, say, 100 rupees. In scheme A, you get 200 units, and in scheme B, you get 100 units. Say scheme A gives you a return of 20% in a year. Your NAV will rise to 60, correct? And the valuation of your investments will be 12,000 from 10,000 that you had initially invested. Say, suppose scheme B gives you a return of 10%. The NAV will rise from 100 to 110, and your investment value will rise to 11,000 rupees from the 10,000 rupees that you had initially invested. Now, Comparing these two, you will come to know that even though the NAV of scheme A was lower as compared to scheme B, the returns that scheme A gave were higher than scheme B. Correct? So NAV does not mean performance of the fund. Never examine or never understand a higher NAV means good performance and a lower NAV means underperforming mutual fund. So please, I hope this is clear, because most of the times people generally correlate NAV to the performance of the fund, and that is where they make a mistake while investing in mutual funds. Now, coming to the second question, what is a share price? Well, all of us know that the shares that are listed on stock exchanges are traded on those exchanges. What does this mean? Some people buy and some people sell those shares. Now, depending on the demand and supply of shares, the price of those shares fluctuates. Correct? This is not the same as NAV. I told you NAV was calculated at the end of trading day, but a share price can fluctuate multiple times during the trading session. It depends on the demand and supply of that particular share. Correct? How are NAV and share price different? Where NAV is calculated on the basis of outstanding units and the valuation of the assets held by a particular mutual fund scheme, share price is solely determined by the demand and supply of those particular shares. Correct? Coming to the third question, is NAV the criteria that mutual fund investors should solely look at while investing in mutual funds? Well, the answer is clearly no. One should never solely depend on the NAV while investing in a mutual fund. Why? Because there are multiple factors like the objective of the fund, your risk profile is, does it match with the objective of the fund management fees, performance, historical performance of the mutual fund. All these need to be considered before you invest your money in a mutual fund. So never go for the NAV value solely on the basis of that value. Never decide on investing in a mutual fund, right? See, basically what happens is when you the examples that I gave you in this video like are self-explanatory, which help you understand that even if you invest in a mutual fund which has a low NAV, you can still get better returns than in a mutual fund which has a higher NAV. Correct? So never solely depend on just NAV while investing in a mutual fund. Now, I hope this video clarifies all your doubts regarding NAVs and how they are listed and what should you read about the NAVs, what should you understand when you read NAVs of a mutual fund. Correct? So, any queries you have, please feel free to comment below the video. I will be happy to help you. Happy investing. Be sure when you invest, and knowledge is what will help you make good investments. I'm here to impart that knowledge and help you in your investment journey. Yes, so until the next video, please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and see you next time.